opinion, Wolverine is more of an anti-hero, not really a superhero, but I like him. Main reason being, well, he got the wardrobe right. I mean, what's with the spandex and silly names? We've been programmed over the years to accept names like Superman and Batman as being cool. But think about it. What kind of name is Batman? How is that cool, even for a kid? Anyway, here's X-Men Origins Wolverine. Now that's a cool name. Wolverine.
Released May the 1st, 2009, it's safe to say this is another oldie. But I was able to sample this game at a friend's place. I played the demo on the PS3 and I was impressed. Most movie to video game adaptations are bad, and most video games in my experiences based on superheroes are also bad, with the exception of a few like the Batman games, but let's not forget just about every Superman game ever made. So when I played the demo I thought, yes, this looks and feels good, and like Kana said, he's not shamelessly parading about in his spandex with the underwear on the outside.
Well, I got an edge. That you do, mon frere.
Let's begin with the high points of X-Men Origins Wolverine. The voice talent, solid all around. It seems like the devs got the original lineup from the movie to do the voice talent. Hugh Jackman, Liev Schreiber, will.i.am and the others were all behind their CG counterparts, and so the voice acting was solid. The overall audio is intact. Scores, explosions, footsteps, all well done.
I didn't need the help.
I was always better at this part than you.
Your character's upgrades are also very useful. Your feral abilities all seem to serve a purpose. The end result was usually the same for most of your special attacks, but they all look pretty impressive, so no complaints here. Again, checkpoints, very important to me. Life is too short to be wasting it doing stuff over and backtracking, and the checkpoints in X-Men Origins Wolverine were all well distributed. The various fighting techniques in this game are good, but not great, and I really didn't expect much after I played the demo. At the end of it all, this is still just a beat 'em up, and as with most beat 'em ups, you'll find yourself using the same techniques over and over. And the pounce attack is something you'll be seeing a lot of in this game, especially when you'd like to reach enemies shooting at you from a distance. But just like I said with the special attacks, it looks good, so you'll enjoy using it for most parts. The story loosely follows the movie, so if you watch the movie you'll see some familiar scenes. But the good part is, like I said, it only loosely follows, so there will be a bit more to the game than we saw in the film. Some make sense, some were good additions, while some just didn't add up.
Stryker's holding my sister prisoner. He was going to kill her if I didn't do as he said.
To add to your list of abilities, you have mutagens. These are basically items strewn about the levels that increase your ability to heal, fight, and so on. A good addition, but some of them, just like some of Wolverine's large arsenal of moves, seem unnecessary. But it doesn't hurt to have them though. The dog tags you rip from the necks of falling soldiers are cool if you're into the whole treasure hunt side mission thing. But I don't care for such things, and this does not affect my overall completion of the game, so I'll rip them off when I see them, but I certainly won't embark on a quest to find them all. This seemed to mean a whole lot to Logan though. I mean, he rips them off with such zeal and passion. I mean, look at this. The boss fights are cool, but they drop into the okay section as well as the bad section. I'll get back to that in a bit. The graphics in Wolverine are okay, not at all great, even though it's a dated title. And with or without a great graphics card for your PC, I'm sure most will agree. There's nothing mind-blowing here, but they're fine, no real eyesores. The difficulty level drops in the OK section. It wasn't too hard even on the hardest difficulty. As a matter of fact, other than a few boss fights, there was barely a challenge. And even those boss fights were no huge obstacles. But no complaints from me. Like I said, I love those end credits. Beat 'em and move on, that's my motto. Here's the bad stuff, let's get to it. A few restrictions in combat that took away from some basically simple expectations. Certain things you just couldn't do. Example, you're able to pounce on most enemies from far distances, but not some. And restrictions like these were clearly put there to make sure certain scenes were played out and certain enemy types were able to do their thing. but it was still annoying and unjustified in my opinion. Then repetition, and I'll always bring this up in a beat 'em up, even one as cool as this. But other than using the same techniques, you use them on the same bunch of guys over and over. And not only the foot soldiers, but you end up fighting the same bosses again and again. This really drilled the boredom in after a point. I was sick of fighting this guy. It seems that the devs ran out of ideas or just got lazy. And other than repeating the henchmen and the bosses, we had to do a lot of backtracking, so to speak. So the stages were also repeated, a lot. This jungle scene looked great at the beginning, but got real old real fast. The puzzle solving should not have been in this game either, totally unnecessary. They were cheap and generic puzzles and played no real part in the game. You'd again find yourself doing the same silly things over and over. Carrying a power cell here, then carrying another one there. Unnecessary garbage. I already spoke about the graphics, but that was the okay side of the graphics. While the characters and cutscenes were okay, the environments were really bland, and seeing some of these environments repeatedly did not help. If you only visited a stage once, it wouldn't have been so obvious and tedious. But then that goes back to the repetition I mentioned. Another unnecessary addition was the stealth stages. They would not have been unnecessary if the devs actually made them worthwhile though. If they actually made them entertaining. Because think about it, Wolverine with those claws sneaking up on unsuspecting soon-to-be victims seems like a cool idea. But apparently devs were in a rush to release as usual, or they just didn't see it my way.
You remember the last time an experiment escaped?
Yeah, it was some freak who controlled metal, wasn't it?
Something like that.
The final nail would be the camera. At first I thought it was tolerable, but then after getting deep in the game I realized it was just plain bad. Another miserable failure at creating a proper camera system in a third-person game. It happens so often. So X-Men Origins Wolverine, while not being a total train wreck and one of the better superhero movie to video game adaptations, is still far from greatness, and with all these shortcomings I experienced, the lab gives X-Men Origins Wolverine a 6 out of 10.
You are really starting to annoy me.